Hello everyone and welcome back to the Expletives Included channel. Today we're going to be doing another episode of the vlog series. We've been kind of overdoing the Hangouts of late. I know we said we were going to do them every week over National Novel Writing Month, November, but kind of seeing as how last week's got derailed, well, and Kier's also not feeling all that well, I decided that I would just do a vlog in the old style, and I'm just going to talk about my experience with NaNoWriMo. It's very embarrassing to admit that yet again another week has gone by and I haven't actually written anything, and I do feel bad about that. I feel like I have kind of let myself down a bit, but the truth of the matter is, well, I think the main problem is, okay, start from the beginning. The main idea of NaNoWriMo is to write every day. And that, I think, is the main purpose of NaNoWriMo. People do say it's not about like finishing it, it's not about writing the book. We may have even said it on the channel before, it's about writing every day and getting into that habit, because what I found is the moment I stopped writing, that's kind of where things went wrong. The moment you stop, it is so easy to just, you've broken the habit, you've let up momentum, you've lost momentum, and it's hard to kind of get back on track. I know naturally myself, and I think possibly Kier as well, are naturally low on motivation because of our because of both of our problems that we face in life. And doing NaNoWriMo is kind of about, again, it's not about writing anything good, it's just about keeping momentum up and kind of showing that, you know, you can do it, you can keep writing, and you will. But if you fall, I remember, because I remember the first time I tried NaNoWriMo, there was actually a website, I think like an official page, and every so often they would send emails, which I haven't done this year. I haven't signed up with any site, I haven't done anything like that to kind of post up my word count to kind of show to people, like, yes, I am still working. Maybe that was a bit of a problem. But I remember they would send emails saying, it's like, we found that usually people stop around this point, or by this point people have usually faltered and kind of missed a day. And they would kind of give motivation, they would kind of tell you, it's like, it's okay, no one's expecting it to be perfect, just get back on the horse, get back writing. And you know, you don't need like someone to tell you, it's like, you need to do this, but it helps, because if you're naturally low in motivation, then something which I've told myself several times is, I will tomorrow, I will at the weekend when I've got time, I'll make time, I'll go to the coffee shop. A problem which I have found is that I kind of said, I'll go to a coffee shop, I'll get some writing done, because there will be no distractions. And what I've ended up doing is going to a coffee shop, realising that I pushed it off too long, and I don't have as much time to spend as I'd like to, so rather than writing, I've just done like a few quick sketches. And at the time I justified that by saying, it's like, well, I'm still doing something creative, I'm still doing something which I haven't done in a very long time, I'm still kind of exercising that part of my brain, but really I should have just taken that chance, any chance I had, to keep writing. I'm not sure if I'm going to use these last couple of days, it's the 27th, so yeah, we've got 3 more days, and I'm not sure if I'm going to get back to it. Essentially just, because of how far I got, or I'm not sure how to say, just how short I got, how little progress I actually made within the story. And that's kind of like another thing I wanted to say. I really didn't get anywhere, and I think that's the problem with planning. I'm not sure if I've said this before, but I didn't plan very well. I didn't have any kind of semblance of a plan. I just had this idea that I would kind of start here and then run on, and I would just wing it. As soon as I started writing, then the ideas would flow, and I would just write what came, because that was a big problem for me before I started writing. It's the problem which I had when I was still kind of trying to take on a project as a video game. I had this big kind of amalgamous blob of ideas that I kept changing, and I just wanted to get something down. That's what I started NaNoWriMo for. But to do kind of NaNoWriMo, to do it in that short time space, to keep yourself motivated, to keep yourself on track, to stop yourself from not getting past the first chapter after a month has passed, you do need to plan. I think that's something which I've learnt, and I do think I've learnt like a couple of things. I have kept reading a little bit, but if you've seen in a hangout that we've done so far, I've recently refound all of my DS games, and so I have kind of splurged into that. I've been thinking about Nintendo. I've been thinking about how much I love the story of Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, one of my favourite games of all time, and how lackluster Final Fantasy Tactics Advance 2 was, and how I kind of started playing that game again just to kind of see just where the disconnect is, why I think the story is worse. I've been reading, what's it called? Tales from Earthsea, the first one of that. I'm just kind of realising that you don't, even if you are writing like a long novel, if you do want to be like a big book, you don't need to be really floofy in the writing. I've learned how easily I can get off track. I think that's something that I've always known, but I think because it's November, it's National Novel Writing Month, you're supposed to kind of be writing every day, but I kind of missed a couple, and that has entirely threw me off for the rest of the month. Because there's still the motivation there, there's still, I want to do it, and I know that the excuse that, I don't have time it's a bad excuse, because if you want the time, then you make the time. I should have disconnected my Facebook account for the month. I should have done more prep in October, and I should have done all of these videos. There's so much things that I should have done, and I do want to try this again next year, and I'm going to take all the things that I've learnt, and hopefully next year I'll actually do it. I'll write 1,000 words, 500 words a day, and kind of get a NaNoWriMo project finished. I think I am rather happy with the work that I've done. I know if I was to go back and read it now after being kind of away from it, then I probably wouldn't like it. That's another kind of a really kind of bad habit of mine, which really does knock my motivation, is that I'm very unfair when I'm reading or looking at my own work. So I know, like the art stuff that I do, I kind of, if I look at someone else's like art, and then I appreciate just how good it is and how good an artist they are, but kind of looking at it and just thinking, well, if I had done this, then I wouldn't be happy with that, I wouldn't be happy with that. And I found that also a lot with drawing. Like, this is back, I haven't had any kind of really awful experiences recently, but I would give up on a drawing before it was even finished. Just the start was wrong, so I had to scrap it all and start again. And I think that's kind of something which has happened with this novel as well. There have been bits that are that I have gone back and changed, that I want to go back and change. The fact that Kia kind of questioned the motives of my Faye character that we've met, that if you've seen the Hangouts, then you'll know what he said. That did kind of throw me a bit, and I thought, well, I can't have that. I need to go back and write it. I need to kind of go back and do this other stuff. And it's all of that thought, all those thought processes makes it difficult to kind of get on and do stuff. I worry too much, and that's bad for the creative flair. So essentially all I wanted to say is, I think that I have learned a fair deal from trying to do this again later in life, and I look forward to doing it again. I may even try to do it before next November. Not December or January, but maybe February, because that's a short month. That's only 28 days, and I don't think there's no big events that happen in February, so apart from the Telford MCM Expo, but that's just one day. Am I going to use, again, like a thing that I said at the start, is that this was all for a video game. Do I want to use what I've written as the basis of my video game? I'm not so sure anymore, which again is just another thing to pile up on the weight that's weighing down all of my motivation. I do quite like it, and if I do kind of continue on a story, or if I do scrap it and completely start again in another month, then I might start it again. But I found that even if I did take out all of the floofy writing, it's still a bit floofy. There's not a lot that happens in the beginning. So you're in the castle, and then the fire erupts, and you need to escape. You're running away. Nothing. You're being led. There's nothing which you're kind of inputting. There's no kind of decisions that you're making. And then you're in the forest. You're lost, and you're kind of trying to find your way. I suppose that's kind of on you. You could kind of run it so that you are just kind of walking around, but then nothing would happen. You couldn't have any random encounters, or you couldn't have any action until you kind of happen upon this stay presence, whatever form it might take. And then again, that's just going to be talking, that's going to be diplomacy. It's going to be so long with this kind of narrative before you kind of actually start doing things and act as the player. It really does fit better as a novel, as a book, unless I kind of completely change it. So what I've written, this base, the reason I started NaNoWriMo for, it's not going to be turned into a video game. I'm gonna do something else. I might just do some kind of basic RPG, just nothing special, just making a full game. Basically taking the approach I had to the test of the video game that I had, just to kind of try to make a full game, or to make like a decently sized game that I can be happy with and isn't kind of full of, so that it's full of something, so that it actually has some bite to it, rather than just like, I'm not sure how to describe it, but I'm not sure if we've shared the game that I made on this site before, but if we did, then you'll know what I mean. It's really not anything. It's not I'm losing my way. I can't think of how to talk about that. I'll move on to another subject. What have I said already? I think I have actually covered everything I wanted to say, and I've probably been talking for long enough, so I'll let you go, and I'll go my way as well. And I don't know what I'm going to do for the rest of the evening. I've also not been feeling very well, so I might just go to bed. That sounds like a very good idea. So I'll see you all on our next podcast. I do believe that it's one that we recorded last week, where we talked about Nintendo. I think it's a good one. Hopefully you'll enjoy it, and hopefully you've enjoyed this kind of my final say on NaNoWriMo. I'm sure that Keir would like to relay his thoughts as well. Maybe we'll do it in this Sunday's podcast for next week. But until then, we'll see you again on the channel. Goodbye.